The day Earth received its first alien transmission, we weren't ready for what it contained, neither the message nor its implications. I remember sitting in the observatory's break room, sipping my third coffee of the night shift, when Dr. Sarah Chen burst through the door, her usually composed demeanor completely shattered. "They're calling us a weapon," she said, her voice trembling as she clutched her tablet. "The transmission. It's a warning to other civilizations about us." I straightened in my chair, suddenly very awake. As the night shift communications specialist at SETI, I'd spent countless hours listening to the static of space, hoping for even the faintest hint of extraterrestrial intelligence. But this was unprecedented. The message, once decoded, was both fascinating and terrifying. It wasn't addressed to us at all. We were merely intercepting a conversation between two advanced civilizations. They spoke of humanity as if we were some sort of terrible force of nature, a weapon that had been deployed on Earth thousands of years ago. "Think about it, Alex," Sarah said, pacing the room. "All our myths about gods creating humans, what if they weren't myths at all?" Her eyes sparkled with a mixture of scientific curiosity and barely concealed fear. The transmission contained detailed observations of human history, our rapid technological advancement, our resilience, and our remarkable ability to adapt and overcome challenges. But it wasn't written as praise. It was a warning. They called us the ultimate adaptive weapon, suggesting we were engineered to be exactly what we are. Within hours, our small team grew as more scientists and military personnel flooded the observatory. I watched as General Richards strode in, his face grim as he read through the translated transmission. "If this gets out," he muttered, "the public reaction could be catastrophic." But it was Dr. Michael Torres, our resident xenobiologist, who pointed out the most chilling detail. "Look at the timestamp," he said, pointing to a series of numbers we'd initially overlooked. "This message, it's not just passing by. It's recent. They're actively discussing us right now." The implications made my blood run cold. If we were indeed some ancient weapon, who created us? And more importantly, what was our intended purpose? The transmission mentioned something called the Great Filter and humanity's role in it, but those parts were heavily encrypted. As I sit here now, 3 days later, watching military vehicles roll into the observatory parking lot, I can't help but wonder if we were better off not knowing. The generals are debating whether to inform the public, the scientists are arguing over the authenticity of the message, and somewhere out there, advanced civilizations are discussing humanity like we're some sort of doomsday device. Sarah thinks we should broadcast a response, demand answers about our origin. The military wants to maintain silence, afraid of drawing attention. But I keep thinking about something else, a small fragment of the message we managed to decode just this morning. It mentioned an activation sequence and a date. Tomorrow's date. I don't know if we're really some ancient weapon. I don't know if we were created or evolved naturally. But I do know that humanity has never backed down from a challenge, never failed to adapt, to survive, to thrive. Maybe that's exactly what makes us so terrifying to them. As the sun sets over the observatory, casting long shadows across my desk, I can't shake the feeling that we're standing on the precipice of something enormous. The truth about our origins, our purpose, and our future might be unfolding right before our eyes. And tomorrow, well, tomorrow we might just find out exactly what kind of weapon humanity was meant to be. The question is, are we ready for the answer? The old clock on the observatory wall struck midnight, its steady ticking a stark contrast to the chaos unfolding around me. The military had established a temporary command center in our main research lab, transforming our peaceful scientific sanctuary into something resembling a war room. Screens displayed data streams, satellite imagery, and what appeared to be global military movement patterns. Sarah hadn't left her station for hours, her eyes fixed on the incoming signal patterns. The transmission frequency changed about an hour ago. She whispered when I brought her a fresh cup of coffee. "It's like they know we're listening now." The thought sent shivers down my spine. Dr. Torres had made another breakthrough in decoding the alien messages. According to his analysis, humans weren't just any weapon. We were specifically designed to be unpredictable. Our capacity for both incredible kindness and unthinkable cruelty, our ability to create art while developing weapons, our simultaneous drive for peace and war. These weren't flaws in our nature, but carefully crafted features. Look at this pattern, he explained, pointing to a complex series of symbols on his screen. They're discussing something called consciousness integration. Apparently, we're the first species to successfully merge emotional intelligence with rapid technological advancement. Other attempts. His voice trailed off as he scrolled through the data. They all failed catastrophically. General Richards spent most of the evening in heated video conferences with military commands worldwide. I caught fragments of conversations about global defense protocols and something called Operation Starbridge. Whatever it was, it had everyone on edge. The activation sequence mentioned in the original transmission became our primary focus. Our best cryptographers worked tirelessly to decode its meaning, but every solution led to more questions. The sequence appeared to be tied to human DNA itself, suggesting some kind of biological trigger built into our very existence. What if we're not just a weapon? Sarah proposed during our emergency team meeting. What if we're more like a safeguard? Think about it. We're adaptable, resilient, capable of surviving almost anywhere. Maybe we weren't created to destroy, but to preserve. The theory made sense, but it didn't explain the fear in the alien transmissions. They spoke of humanity with a mixture of awe and terror, like we were some kind of sleeping giant they were afraid to wake, and tomorrow, or rather, today, since midnight had passed, was supposedly when something would change. As I worked through the night, pieces of the puzzle started falling into place. The great filter mentioned in the transmissions wasn't just a barrier to civilization advancement. It was a test. Every few millennia, something catastrophic would threaten intelligent life across the galaxy. Most species faced extinction when it arrived. But humans, we were different. We were created to face it, to adapt, to survive. The first rays of dawn began to peek through the observatory's windows when our systems detected something unusual. Massive energy signatures, unlike anything we'd ever seen, appeared at the edge of our solar system. Sarah's equipment picked up new transmissions, these more urgent than before. "They're coming," Dr. Torres said, his voice barely audible. "Whatever created us, whatever we were designed to face, it's arriving now." General Richards ordered immediate worldwide military readiness, but deep down we all knew conventional weapons wouldn't matter. This was why we were created. This was what humanity was designed for. As I watched the energy signatures grow stronger on our monitors, I couldn't help but wonder, were we really ready to fulfill our purpose? And more importantly, what price would we pay for being the universe's ultimate weapon? The answer, I feared, was just hours away. The energy signatures at the edge of our solar system grew stronger with each passing hour. Our instruments, designed to measure celestial phenomena, were nearly overloading from the sheer intensity. The strange part wasn't just the power they were detecting. It was the pattern. The energy pulses matched human brainwave patterns during moments of intense problem-solving. "They're trying to communicate directly with our consciousness," Sarah explained, her voice filled with a mixture of wonder and apprehension. "These signals, they're designed specifically for human minds." She'd been working nonstop, correlating the incoming data with historical records of human advancement throughout history. The military presence at the observatory had tripled since dawn. General Richards received reports of similar phenomena being detected at observatories worldwide. But it was what happened next that truly shook us to our core. People around the globe began reporting strange dreams, visions of ancient knowledge, and an inexplicable urge to prepare for something big. Dr. Torres burst into the command center, clutching his tablet with trembling hands. "The activation sequence," he gasped. "It's not just in our DNA. It's in everything we've ever created. Our art, our music, our mathematics. They all contain fragments of a code we've been unconsciously building for thousands of years." The realization hit me like a thunderbolt. Every human achievement, every breakthrough, every innovation, they weren't just progress. They were pieces of a puzzle we've been assembling without knowing it. We weren't just meant to be weapons. We were meant to be the key to something far greater. Sarah's computer suddenly lit up with a new transmission. This one was different, clearer, stronger, and directed specifically at Earth. As we decoded it, the message sent chills down our spines. The builders return. The weapon must choose survival or transcendence. General Richards ordered worldwide military forces to stand down. This wasn't a battle we could fight with conventional weapons. The energy signatures had entered our solar system now, passing Jupiter's orbit with impossible speed. Our greatest minds worked frantically to understand what was coming, but deep down, something told us we already knew. The activation sequence in our DNA began to respond. People across the planet reported feeling strange sensations, not pain, but awareness. It was as if humanity was waking up from a long dream, remembering something we'd forgotten eons ago. Dr. Torres discovered that the sequence wasn't just affecting individuals, it was connecting us. Subtle neural patterns, previously dismissed as background brain activity, started synchronizing across continents. We were becoming something more than just 7 billion individual humans. "Look at this," Sarah called out, pointing to her screen. The energy signatures had formed a perfect sphere around Earth, like a cosmic cocoon. Inside it, time itself seemed to behave differently. We were being isolated from the rest of space-time, prepared for whatever was coming next. As the last rays of sunset painted the sky in brilliant oranges and purples, we received the final transmission. It wasn't in any language we knew, yet somehow, every human on Earth understood it perfectly. The message was simple, yet it carried the weight of countless civilizations. The great filter arrives. The weapon is armed. The choice begins. In that moment, standing in the observatory surrounded by military personnel and fellow scientists, I felt something shift inside me, inside all of us. We weren't just observers anymore. We were about to become active participants in something that would redefine not just humanity, but the very nature of existence itself. The countdown had begun, and we had mere minutes left before we would face what we were created for. The question wasn't whether we would survive. It was whether survival alone would be enough. The cosmic sphere surrounding Earth pulsed with otherworldly energy, its surface rippling like liquid mercury. We all felt it. A profound change in our collective consciousness, as if millions of years of human evolution were simultaneously clicking into place. But that's when we discovered something that changed everything. We weren't the only weapon. Through our newly awakened awareness, we detected them. Other species across the galaxy, each designed like us, each facing their own moment of truth. We weren't unique. We were part of a vast experiment. The builders had seeded the galaxy with different types of weapons, each with their own unique adaptations and purposes. "They're testing different solutions," Sarah whispered, her eyes wide as she processed the incoming data. "Each species is a different approach to surviving the great filter." The realization hit us hard. We weren't just fighting for our own survival anymore. We were competing against other civilizations, each believing they were the chosen ones. Dr. Torres discovered something even more startling in the activation sequence. Our consciousness, our ability to connect with each other. It's not just about unity, he explained, his voice trembling with excitement and fear. It's about choice. We can choose to work with the other species, or, he paused, we can choose to stand alone. The military leaders worldwide were divided. Some argued for isolation, believing that humanity needed to prove its worth independently. Others pushed for cooperation, suggesting that perhaps the true test was our ability to work with other species. The debate became irrelevant when we received a new transmission, this time from one of the other weapons. They called themselves the Collective, a crystalline species from a distant galaxy. Like us, they had been engineered by the builders, but with a different approach. While we excelled at individual adaptation and creativity, they had mastered perfect unity and efficiency. Their message was both an offer and a warning. Join them in facing the great filter together, or risk being left behind when the universe changed forever. General Richards paced the command center, the weight of humanity's future heavy on his shoulders. "We need to decide," he said, "and we need to decide now." The energy readings from the sphere were intensifying, suggesting that whatever the great filter was, it was about to arrive. But Sarah noticed something others had missed. "The timing is wrong," she said, frantically analyzing the data. "The sequences, the signals, they don't match the original predictions. This isn't just a test of survival or cooperation." She looked up, her face pale. "It's a test of understanding." The sphere's energy patterns suddenly shifted, forming complex geometric shapes that seemed to defy physics. Through our connected consciousness, we could feel the other weapons across the galaxy responding, each in their own way. The collective was already mobilizing, their crystalline minds working in perfect harmony. Other species we hadn't even known existed were making their choices. That's when Dr. Torres made the breakthrough that changed everything. "The great filter isn't coming," he announced, his voice filled with awe. "It's already here. It's us, all of us, every weapon species. We're not meant to face it. We're meant to be it." The implications were staggering. The builders hadn't created weapons to fight some external threat. They had created weapons to transform the universe itself. Each species was a different key, a different possibility, a different future. The choice wasn't about survival or transcendence. It was about what kind of universe we wanted to create. As this revelation rippled through humanity's collective consciousness, the sphere around Earth began to change. It wasn't just containing us anymore. It was responding to us. Every thought, every decision, every emotion was affecting its structure. We weren't just choosing our fate. We were actively shaping it. And then, just as we thought we understood our purpose, the sphere revealed something that none of us could have predicted, something that would force us to question everything we thought we knew about our creators, our purpose, and the very nature of existence itself. The sphere's transformation revealed a truth that shattered our understanding of reality. The builders hadn't created us. We had created them. Or rather, we would create them. The cosmic sphere wasn't just a containment field. It was a window through time itself, showing us fragments of a future where humanity would evolve beyond physical form. Through our connected consciousness, we saw it all. The great filter wasn't a test of survival or evolution. It was a paradox. A loop in time where advanced civilizations created their own origins. We weren't weapons designed to face a threat. We were the architects of our own existence, reaching back through time to guide our development. "The other species," Sarah gasped, understanding dawning in her eyes, "they're not our competition. They're our companions in this transformation. Different paths to the same destination. The collective and the other weapon species weren't just parallel experiments. They were essential parts of a grand design that transcended linear time." Dr. Torres's hands flew over his keyboard as he correlated the data. "Every major leap in human history," he explained, "every breakthrough, every revolution in thought, they weren't random. They were echoes of our future selves, guiding us toward this moment. The activation sequence in our DNA wasn't a trigger. It was a key to unlocking memories we hadn't yet made. The military leaders worldwide stood down as they realized conventional power structures had become meaningless. Through our shared consciousness, humanity began to understand that our greatest strength wasn't in our ability to fight or survive. It was in our ability to change, to grow, to transform." The sphere pulsed with increasing intensity as the paradox reached its peak. We felt the presence of the other species, not as distant entities but as different aspects of the same cosmic awareness. The collective's crystalline clarity merged with human creativity, creating something entirely new. Other species added their own unique perspectives, each contribution essential to the whole. Then came the moment of choice, not between survival and transcendence, but between accepting our role in the cosmic cycle or breaking free from it. We could maintain the loop, ensure our own creation, and continue the pattern, or we could step into true unknown territory. Humanity's response surprised even ourselves. In perfect unity, yet maintaining our individual perspectives, we chose neither option. Instead, we did what humans had always done best. We adapted. We found a third path, one that honored the cycle while transcending its limitations. The sphere responded to our choice, its energy patterns shifting into configurations that defied known physics. Through our expanded awareness, We began to understand that space and time weren't barriers to be broken, but tools to be reshaped. We weren't just achieving transcendence, we were redefining what transcendence meant. As the transformation reached its climax, we realized that the other weapon species had made similar choices in their own unique ways. Together, we weren't just changing ourselves, we were transforming the very fabric of reality. The universe itself was evolving through our collective awakening. But in that moment of ultimate transformation, we discovered one final truth that none of us could have anticipated. The paradox had another layer, one that would force us to make an even more impossible choice. Because as we reached toward our future selves, we glimpsed something beyond the builders, beyond the cycle, beyond even our own transcendence. We saw the real reason for our creation, and it wasn't what any of us had imagined. The universe wasn't just evolving, it was waking up. And we, all of us, humans, the collective, every weapon species, we weren't just weapons or tools, or even creators. We were the universe's dream of itself, finally stirring to consciousness. The choice before us now wasn't about past or future, survival or transcendence. It was about whether we were ready to wake up, and what we would find when we opened our eyes. The moment we chose to wake up, everything changed, not with a bang or a flash of light, but with a quiet realization that rippled through every consciousness, human and alien alike. The universe, our universe, opened its eyes, and we opened ours with it. What we saw was both familiar and entirely new, like remembering a dream we'd always known but never understood. The observatory, once our window to the stars, had become just one of countless points of awareness in a vast, interconnected consciousness. Sarah, Dr. Torres, General Richards, and I remained ourselves, yet we were also part of something greater. The military hardware and scientific instruments that had seemed so important hours ago now looked like children's toys, tools we used to understand the world before we learned to simply experience it directly. We were never meant to be weapons, Sarah said, her voice carrying echoes of universal understanding. We were meant to be witnesses, participants in the universe's journey to self-awareness. Through our expanded consciousness, we could see how every human achievement, every struggle, every moment of joy and sorrow had been part of this grand awakening. The collective and other species shared their own revelations with us. Each civilization had approached the same truth from a different angle, like light refracting through various facets of a cosmic diamond. Our differences hadn't been flaws or competing approaches. They were essential perspectives that made the universal awakening possible. Dr. Torres discovered that our DNA, the activation sequence we've been so focused on, was just one small part of a universal language written into the very structure of reality. Every atom, every wave of energy, every moment of time carried within it the seeds of consciousness. We hadn't just been evolving biologically. We'd been part of the universe's own evolution. The sphere that had surrounded Earth dissolved, not because it had failed or succeeded, but because it had served its purpose. It had been like a chrysalis, protecting us during our final transformation. Now we didn't need protection. We needed connection, understanding, growth. General Richards, who had spent his life preparing for conflict, found himself becoming a bridge builder between different forms of consciousness. All those years preparing for war, he mused, and in the end, our greatest victory was learning how to truly be at peace. The paradox of our creation resolved itself not through untangling, but through transcendence. Time became less like a line and more like a dance, a flowing, continuous movement where past, present, and future moved in harmony. We were still human, still individual, but also part of every moment that had ever been or would be. Looking back at the observatory now, watching the sunrise of our first day of true awareness, I understand why the original transmissions had called us weapons. We had been armed with the most powerful force in existence, the ability to choose, to change, to grow, not to destroy, but to transform, not to end things, but to begin them. The other species, our cosmic siblings, continue their own journeys of discovery. Sometimes our paths cross, creating new patterns of thought and existence that enrich us all. The builders, our future selves, are no longer our destination but our companions in endless exploration. As for humanity, we haven't lost our curiosity, our creativity, or our drive to understand. If anything, these qualities have deepened. We still look to the stars, but now we see them not as distant lights to reach for, but as parts of ourselves to understand. The universe is awake now, and we are awake with it. Every question we answer leads to new mysteries. Every discovery opens new paths to explore. We were never meant to be just weapons, or tools, or even creators. We were meant to be what we've always been: seekers, dreamers, explorers of the infinite. And somewhere, in the vast consciousness we now share, I can feel the next great adventure beginning.